There are really two questions we have to ask in relation to what it means to be human. The first question is, who are we? What's our nature? The second question is, how should we live so that when we look back on it in 10 or 50 years, we can be glad we lived that way? Without an answer to the first question, the second question can have no factual foundation. But without an answer to the second question, the first is sort of self-absorbed and nowhere near complex enough. We love to go on about how brilliant, how creative, and how important we Homo sapiens are. We're the entire universe, conscious of itself. Or the universe is conscious, but in a way that we are uniquely equipped to understand. The deeper truth is that we are still quite a primitive species, profoundly unaware of why we behave as we do, in relationships, in religion, nationally, sexually, in a dozen other ways. And another thing that is deeply limiting, but deeply characteristic of us that we seldom talk about, is that our quest almost always is for certainty, not truth. Certainty is only an attitude, but if we can't feel certain about something, we don't think it's true. There is one of the most profoundly limiting dilemmas of being human. So what are we like empirically? The big message is that we're not really individuals, we're amalgams, we're parts of communities, all the way up and all the way down. We're members of a social species, which means that our wants, our desires, have to be filtered through the biases of our groups, whether good or bad. Those groups are small to large, relationships, families, religions, communities, nations, the whole thing. And they go up to being part of the ecosystem of the whole planet. But they also go down to the microscopic level. Over 90% of our body's cells are not even animal cells. They're bacteria, the most primitive form of life on Earth. We couldn't breathe oxygen. We couldn't live for a minute without the bacteria that are the mitochondria within each of our cells. Bacteria give us life. It's not what you learned in Sunday school, but it's true and it's important. We have an innate sense of fairness and of compassion. If you want to see a hilarious and educating example of this, just go to your computer and Bing or Google the phrase monkeys and fairness and watch the 3-minute video that's there. It's hilarious, but it's also very educating. We don't respect people, and we don't respect rules and laws and societies that lack this sense of fairness and compassion. Never mind that many of our societies and rules don't show a lot of fairness and compassion. Inside of us is something that knows that, and we don't respect those without us. So this is an essential piece of what it means to be human. Big history has shown us that rarely, but in some places, conditions are such that some parts of reality can grow into much greater complexity, opening up whole new worlds of possibilities. Radiant energy became atoms. Atoms became stars and galaxies. On Earth, chemicals became life, and life became groups, troops, civilizations, and the rest of it. We love the idea of growing to greater complexity, and especially the idea of being opened to whole new worlds of possibilities. We love this. So that too is an essential part of what it means to be human. Our lives are most fulfilling when we can grow into our most complete and complex selves and can help others do the same. They're linked. Remember, we're a social species. And all of this matters so much right now because we're living in a time when knowledge is replacing belief, science is replacing religion, as the source of the most trustworthy revelations about who we are and how we should live. Now, we can help midwife this birth of grand new possibilities, but only if we understand that science isn't enough. We also need a profound understanding of the humanities, all those subjects which from ancient Greece to the present have focused on our real highest ideals and how we can best become full human beings. That's the gist of it. Fleshing it out will take a lot more time.